Hi, everyone. So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Well, tonight we are celebrating the 6th anniversary of Lighthearted Healers, which was begun in May. Hi, Diane G. So happy you're here. Diane, would you please send me an email at relaxwithdaphne at gmail? I have a question for you. Um, I wanted to let you know how this group began. 6 years ago, I had a Reiki client who was in really struggling, and he was 8 years old, and he had a plan to commit suicide. And his family was doing everything they could to take care of him, and he had a lot of help. But I wanted to do something even more. And when I read the book, The Power of Eight by Lynne McTaggart, I knew that this is something that I could easily try and it would complement all the other help and support that his family was providing to him. And I was able to start this group online. I had two members who joined me in the beginning, Tara and Safa. Tara is in Texas and Safa is in Qatar. So it was really, really lovely to spend time with them. And for 8 weeks, we meditated for this young man. And I'm very happy to report that all is well with him. He's about to turn 14. He's about to turn 14 this fall. So, really, really delighted to be able to help him with someone like that. Thank you, Diane. Happy anniversary to Lighthearted Healers. Yes, yes, 6 years, 6 long years, and wonderful years. And hello, Roslyn. So glad you're here. Welcome. Okay, so um, part of what attracted me to this work is that uh, so many of us want to help, we care, we want to support people, but how do we do it? We don't necessarily know how to do it. And this is called subtle advocacy. So when you feel helpless or powerless to do something, when you care but you can't physically go do or donate or fix a problem, and when you want to elevate the energy around a situation, Power of Eight intention meditation is a wonderful, wonderful tool to do that with. Hello, glad you're here, Vicenta. Um, Now, the beautiful thing about this style of meditation, first of all, it's very easy. You know, we do this 2 or 3 times every week together. And over time, you really do learn to focus and concentrate your thoughts. Your creativity and imagination improves, your mood improves. I have done this at least once a week with groups of people, sometimes as many as 3 or 4 times a week with people, and for 6 years. And this is just something I won't do without. I always have to have this in my life. Now, in addition to your mind, it expands your abilities. Now, we've explored the clairs, but I know in my own experience, my very first mediumship experience happened when we were intending for a gentleman who was in the hospital. And I I didn't know what was happening in the moment, but as we intended for him, knowing that he had had a stroke, knowing that he was in the hospital, in the meditation, when I followed the energy with my thoughts, I found myself in a hotel or in a hospital room standing next to an empty bed, and he was gone. But it was just like a magnet that drew me to a chair in the corner where his wife was sitting. And this was imagery and ideas that are coming to me in the meditation. And I felt very strongly that he was totally fine. He was perfectly fine, even though he had passed on, but his wife needed support from me. And so that was the very first mediumship experience I had doing this style of meditation. I have also experienced remote viewing or remote sensing where I find myself in a physical location, just like that hospital room. Can I prove that it was his room or that was his wife? No, I can't, but I trust that the energy in the that ties us and connects us in the quantum field is giving me the information that I need. One of the biggest surprises was intending for animals and being able to communicate with that animal. And I really love doing that. It's just been such a pleasure. And so if nothing else, this practice, doing this work week after week after week, will expand your abilities in ways that you never expected. And most people are attracted to this work because of healing. And this group is called Lighthearted Healers. And that has many layers of meaning. It may not mean that you have a Reiki practice like me, but it might mean that you want to heal something in your life, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. And how that works is through what Lynne McTaggart called the mirror effect. And I think this is all actually a neuroscience term. She's as a science writer, she works with scientists, with physicists, and with people who are researching consciousness. And out of that research came this practice, this type of intention meditation. And I will tell you that I personally have had some very profound healing experiences with intention meditations. And what's beautiful about the mirror effect is that you are intending for someone else's healing, not even your own, but you mirror the effect. You also receive a boost in whatever way that we're intending for those other people. And I have direct experience with that. I had gone to the doctor and gotten a regular blood tests, and my thyroid was a little wonky. It was nothing that needed to be, addressed immediately, but we were waiting and watching, and I was very concerned about it because I just wasn't feeling that great. Well, somebody came to the group and asked us to intend for her thyroid issue, and when we did, I saw her in my mind during the meditation, but I physically felt the healing that she was receiving. And I felt, I don't know, like I was 30 years old again. It was an amazing feeling. And then I went back to the doctor, and my thyroid tests have been absolutely perfect and normal ever since. So I believe that when we intended for that woman to have her healing, I also experienced the same healing. And I tell you my stories because I never want to pressure anyone to reporting their success stories after we intend for them. There should be no pressure whatsoever. So if we intend for someone, I always welcome their feedback. I want to hear how they've experienced it, but I don't pursue it, and I don't necessarily emphasize them here on this channel or in these meetings because it's personal and it's private, and I want people to feel really, really relaxed about the whole thing. That said, I am collecting some success stories, and I have one for you next week. I think you'll really, really enjoy. So tonight, I thought what we would do is I have two intentions for tonight. Last week, Marlene kicked us off on our series working with the elements with a beautiful fire meditation. And tonight we're going to connect with the element of air, which is related to breath, to thought, to intellect, to communication, to the connection of all of us, and I think also the quantum field, right? There's something very elusive about the quantum field, the idea of the quantum field, the air, they seem to have a similar quality. So I like to pair these things together. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get settled in, and we're going to connect together through breathing and relaxation. So either sit comfortably or lie down and soften your gaze, or close your eyes, whatever's more comfortable. And we are going to breathe together, inhaling for a count of 4 or 5 or 6, exhaling 5, 6, 7, slightly longer exhale. Inhale and exhaling, signaling to the body that it's safe to relax and that there's nothing else to do in this moment but to be here, lending your power to these intentions through your connection with everyone here. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, feeling your shoulders soften, feeling the quietude, a sense of connection amongst us. Whether you're here during the live presentation or you watch this video later, you can still connect with us in the quantum field to lend your power to these intentions. Inhaling, exhaling. Thank you, everyone. We are now connected. Our first intention. We now intend that media professionals worldwide immediately, completely, and permanently hold themselves and each other to the highest standards of integrity and honesty, producing reliable, factual, crucial information. Allow this intention to drop into your heart chakra, project it out into the quantum field, and follow the energy. Thank you, everyone. Trust this intention and release it with love. And try and recall any impressions or insights you received when you followed the energy. Now, the elemental intention for all of us. We now intend to invoke the element of air through the power of breath at the speed of thought, connecting us to one another and to oneness, opening to new understanding and fresh perspectives. Allow this intention to drop into your heart chakra, project it out into the quantum field, and follow the energy. Thank you, everyone. Trust this intention and release it with love. So tonight we learned a little bit about the ways that this style of meditation can be useful and helpful to us, and where we could have a lot of fun experimenting and connecting with the quantum field. And I would love to hear if anyone has any impressions or insights they'd like to share in the comments about connecting with the media, and intending that they strive for greater integrity, honesty, reliability. We need trustworthy media, and it's very difficult right now. We've worked on our own discernment, but we also need reliable people in the news media. And then our second intention was about the element of air and connecting to it, to give us new insights, new perspectives, new information. When we dropped into the first meditation, I immediately got a sense that the majority of people who are in that profession, and they do think of it as a profession for the most part, really want what we want. They want the opportunity to do very thorough fact-checking and meaningful communication. They want to write important stories. But there are also cynical people whose love of money is driving the industry. And we need to do our part, right? We need to speak up. We need to vote with our money and say, this newspaper is not telling the whole truth. We need to use our discernment and double check information. And when we read something, we have to ask ourselves, who's speaking to me and what do they want me to think, feel, believe, or do, right? And we have to look at news and say, what's missing? Or, is their perspective on this the right one or the most important one? So we have to do our part too. But I think, just like every industry faced with changing economic models and AI, we have some work to do. We have to figure out some things. So let's see in the comments here. Let's see what Diane saw. For the media intention, I got the impression that it will take a while before they can become reliable again because there are a lot of internal politics ongoing. Yes, absolutely. And it's something we can help along by, insisting on the quality that we want. Yeah. Liz says, I almost laughed when the media intention came up, but I thought, wow, why not? Yeah. I mean, part of my thinking this year is that we have an opportunity to say what we want. We have an opportunity to choose our futures. And I think human beings have more free will than ever before. We have more access to the other side, to the quantum field, to intuition than we ever have before. So yes, I agree. It's time to say, why not? Let's try. And then Diane said, however, the people whose mission is to provide factual information are already in place, so I just sent them love and light to help them keep going. Yes. I'm sure that somebody is studying it and tracking it, but as local newspapers began to close and disappear, I mean, I met my husband, my wonderful husband of 29 years, through the local newspaper, but it closed down. It could no longer compete with the internet. And those reporters used to go to all the city council meetings, so we always knew what was going on in those meetings. I didn't have to go to the meeting. I could just count on reading about it in the local paper to know what's happening. And the rise of corruption everywhere where there's no media to pay attention to things has been a really hard part about what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Diane. Yeah, you're right. They need our support. There's no question. Yeah. Okay. And then oh, oh, sorry about that. Let me turn this off. Oh, speaking of success stories, last week we intended for Vicenta, and she has 2 job interviews lined up for tomorrow. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for letting us know. Keep us informed. Yeah, it's going to go great. And then let's see, for the element of air, let's see what Diane wrote. She didn't get any impressions, but just followed her breath and felt grounded afterwards. Yes, that is big energy for that element. And last week, when we intended with the element of fire, it was more about us, right? Our response, our using fire. But this intention was about connecting to it and beginning that relationship. I know one of the intuitive practices that I love to do is when I'm outside and there's a breeze, I will talk to the breeze and I'll say, "Thank you so much. This is wonderful. I was feeling too warm and now I'm feeling great. Thank you so much." And almost always you'll get like another little playful little breeze, and you can actually play with the elements. I mean, I have not tried to play with fire, but you could with a candle or a bonfire or something like that. You could greet it, say hello to it, thank it for its beauty and for its utility, for providing warmth and light. So there's a lot of fun to be had. I'm glad you felt better afterwards. That's wonderful. And when I connected with the air, or the element of air, so it's not just the air, it's the presence, the intention, the force behind the air on the planet. So this is where the air is, right? It's not out in space, it's here on the planet. It's part of the Earth, the Earth biosphere that we enjoy and that is designed just for us. But when I connected with the air, the presence felt very huge, like a gentle giant, like very complex, very sophisticated. And at the same time, it wanted to reflect back to me a sense of friendly, playful relationship, right? So as soon as I connected to it, it was a little bit of, oh, how wonderful that we can connect and begin a relationship. And there was a sense that we could do breeze play and we could, have that sort of playful side. But I was also shown hurricanes developing in the Gulf of Mexico, right? And the swirling, and it felt like the wind was building out there over the water, and it was waiting for us to perceive and to notice what's coming so we can get out of the way, right? So the intention is that there's this enormous planet, there are these enormous forces that must happen on the planet. We need hurricanes, we need wind, we need storms, we need all of that for the health of the planet. But the intention is not to harm us. The intention is that we will be in relationship with the element of air, and we will know these things in advance. We will perceive it, and we will go to safety. Like, remember when that horrible tsunami happened in Indonesia, and all the animals and birds went inland and up the mountain, and people didn't, right? Because we're disconnected from nature, and we have a wonderful opportunity to develop that relationship, and we'll get a lot of information through the quantum field if we are open to it and we listen. So, and I'm sorry about the tangent. It's just I really enjoy seeing where we can go in these intentions. Scott, well, we miss you when you're not here. Hope you're doing well. And don't forget, you can always join in through the replay. Yes, Diane, the intentions are timeless, and you can experiment with them anytime you need to. Yeah. Well, wonderful. So I'm scanning back up the comments. It looks like we've covered everything. Wonderful. What a wonderful way to celebrate our 6th anniversary. So fun to make new friends and hear from the longtime members. Really, really pleased to be doing this work with all of you. It's truly a highlight of my week. So, well, I think it's time to disentangle. If you would like to either sit comfortably or lie back and relax, we'll wrap up our meeting with our traditional disentangling of the energy. So hand over heart, breathing in. Yes, Diane, thank you. It is disentangle time. Breathing in through the heart space and exhaling. Breathing in for 4 or 5 or 6. Exhaling 5, 6, 7, slightly longer. Letting the body melt and relax. Feeling good about the work we've done here tonight. Feeling good about the energy and frequency of vibrations that we are spreading out into the world with this practice. And by gathering together, feeling good about that. Letting go of anything in the meeting that you need to let go of, and anything you found inspiring or helpful, comforting or healing. Please take that with you throughout the week. Consciously disentangling your energy from the group. Becoming aware of your position in the room where you are. Fully aware, very relaxed. And I thank you for your wonderful energy tonight. And I will see you next week.